Dasen, we lost your signal a little bit earlier there. You were telling us about feedback from Minister Bheki Cele on the circumstances of the suicide of one of those suspects while in police custody. Just give us a recap.
Yes, Andy, a very different picture outside the Mzumbe Magistrates Court. Just a short while ago, crowds had gathered outside. That was even before the police minister had arrived here. There were protesters outside because they were here to find out exactly what would transpire in court. Unfortunately, they had to leave disappointed because they received two pieces of news this morning. The one is that the primary suspect in this case had committed suicide while in police custody. And the second bit of news that came out a bit later on was that that second suspect, in fact, had not appeared at this courthouse, despite that being the plan. Bheki Cele then explained why that was. He confirmed the suicide firstly, but said that that would now form part of an IPID investigation, so he couldn't provide details on how that happened or what was used in that suicide. And in relation to the second case, he did acknowledge that that case was weakened by the death of the first suspect, because that, for all intents and purposes, was the main suspect in this case, and the second one had formed a link as a result of him having, as the minister says, provided a confession over the weekend. Let's listen in to what Bheki Cele had to say to us on that.
That man was more linked by this one who is late now, and he is denying that he was part of it, and then hence was continuing with the investigation. So the prosecution says we are not at the level of taking on without the presence of the one who's deceased.
Does it make him a free man now?
No, that's true.
This gentleman that was supposed to be here today, does it mean that he is a free man now?
Well, according to the prosecutors, say he can't prosecute on what he says. So that's why, as a South African police, we're continuing with our investigations.
Dasen, the police minister then not very clear on whether that second remaining suspect will be released either on bail or due to insufficient evidence. Could the prosecutors perhaps give you more information?
Well, at this point, the NPA has confirmed exactly that there was insufficient evidence. We also then spoke to the police minister once more after that interview that you just played. Now, just to get clarity on that point, and what he did say, although once again he didn't answer that question directly, I asked him about the safety concerns over the former suspect, I could call him, since the community was quite angry, and he says that they will have to look into ensuring that he is in fact safe. And what I took away from that once again was that he will be released, but surely there are processes before it gets to that point. One of those is that the police are hoping that he can still assist them, although he may no longer be charged in relation to the Mthwalume murders. So certainly it does raise the question, is this an unfortunate turn of events in that the case has fallen apart, or does it mean that this investigation now by the police has fallen flat? We'll have to wait to see, because as the police minister said, the investigation is still continuing. It's just that as we speak, there are no suspects that can account for the murders of those 5 women just yet.
That's the last question before I let you go. We do know that there is a danger around trying someone by public opinion. And of course, we have to be careful or wary of convicting the suspect who committed suicide by sort of taking that as an admission of guilt. What are police saying about the strength of his link to this case and the grounds on which he was arrested?
Well, prior to us even talking to the minister today, I had been engaging with some sources here in the area over just that, and the details that they provided was that he had given a confession over the weekend. He had also accompanied police to point out some of those crime scenes where those women's bodies were dumped. This was verified by the police minister today. He says that in fact had happened. There was a confession, and he had come here yesterday with police. But now, the unfortunate part is that he was meant to come back this morning with police and point out further sites, because there are other fears now that there could be other victims that may may have been killed. Unfortunately, before police could get those details or get an exact number from the suspect, they say that he killed himself. So lots of questions that still need to be answered, and unfortunately the person who seems to be linked to most of these murders, and I say seems to be linked because, as you mentioned, he is no longer here, he won't be able to provide that. What police are saying is that he was linked to or rather he had 4 dockets that were linked to him, which effectively means that he was linked to 4 of those murders that we know of.
Well, thank you very much for that update. Dasen Thathiah coming to us from the court where proceedings have been postponed in the 5 murders there occurring over the past 4 months in Mthwalume.